So let's get started. We're going to start with a blank canvas, and the size hoop we're going to use is the 260 by 200 because it's the one that fits most machines that we have out there today in natural position. The other thing is you can make this any size you want. You'll have to just make adjustments to each of the sizes of everything we're doing. So we're going to do okay. I now have my hoop. I'm going to go to the frame tab. I'm going to choose border. I'm going to change the margin to 50 millimeters, and you'll see why in a minute. And so when I do that, it's actually going to create a border that's 50 millimeters in from the outside edge. I'm going to choose a running stitch, and this time I only need a basting stitch. So I'm going to choose stitch type, running stitch, and then I'm going to change this to 6. Just because it's a little bit easier. If you wanted to remove those stitches, you can. This is just a placement stitch for where you need to lay your fabric. So we're going to do apply, and it's right there in the center. So you can go through this and change your colors as you're going through, because remember, blue is always that one that wants to go first. So I just start by double clicking there, and I'm going to just click on this row, and I'm going to kind of use this row of stitches. So I've got a gray. I'm going to do okay. And it's just a little bit too big. So what I want to do is I'm going to do a right mouse, and I'm going to do properties, and I'm going to uncheck proportional, and I'm going to change this to 80 because I need it just to be a little bit skinnier. I need it the same size, which is okay. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate it, because normally what will happen is it'll start stitching down here at the bottom and come around. I'm going to move this over here. It would start here and come around and round and around. So I'm going to rotate this so that it starts actually in the center of the hoop. So I'm going to rotate by 180 degrees. Now I could also flip it later, but we can do this and it's all done. We're going to do okay. I'm going to move this down so that it's like one grid line up from the bottom. And so it's about 4 grid lines up from the center. I need 2 of these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a right mouse. I'm going to do a copy, and I'm going to do a paste. So it pastes it right on top. I'm going to change the color again. I'm just going to pick on the next color over. And so now I have 2 of them. So they're both going to start stitching up at the top. So I'm going to do here. I'm just going to play it out so you see it. It's going to stitch, stitch, stitch. Then it's going to stitch the next set of stitches around the outside edge. And so what happens is this first one here is where you're going to lay your white piece of fabric, which is the center stripe. Then when that's placed down, you know exactly where it needs to go. It needs to follow and cover up those stitches. This is just another basting stitch that is now going to hold it in place for us. Now what I need to do is create some sewing stitches that are actually going to sew my red fabric in place, and it will be my seam line. We're going to do something a little unusual because it makes it really easier to do when placing it and moving it around to where we want it. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick on Motif Underline. I'm going to change the length to 180. I'm going to do Select Motif. Change this to Husqvarna Viking. Utility stitches. Now normally you would use this, but we're going to use something a little bit different. Just makes it a little bit more easier to move things around. If I just left it like this, trying to grab it, I'd have to use my keyboard arrow keys to move it. So I'm just going to change this, and I'm going to change it to this stitch, which is normally for using stretch fabric, but it's going to be perfectly fine for this. I'm going to uncheck proportional. I'm going to change the width, which will change this so that it's a little bit longer, and I'm going to change that to 5. I'm going to leave it at running. I don't care about fit to line. I don't care about any of the rest of this, and I'm going to do okay. I'm going to make sure nothing is selected, and I'm going to hit apply. I now have this. I need to turn it so that it's going to actually stitch down here. So I'm going to do a right mouse button, properties, and I'm going to change the rotate it 90 degrees. And do okay. So if I had done just a straight stitch, I wouldn't be able to just grab it in this. But you can see that's just so small that you're not even barely tell. And when you open it up and press it, you're not going to even know that that's a zigzag kind of stitch. I'm going to zoom to fit again. And I'm going to move this so that it is here on one grid line in from here. So what's going to happen is you're going to lay your red fabric so that the edge of the fabric is here, and the majority is going to be laying over this way, and it's going to be right sides down. And so it's going to stitch this stitch, and then you're going to open it up so that it opens up the fabric so it's laying over this way, and you'll have that seam, and you can just finger press this. Now we need to do another one of these, and so I'm going to put it over here to attach the other right. So I can just do a Control D or a right mouse and choose duplicate, and I'm going to move it over here. Now, to kind of avoid some of the jump stitches, because this is stitching here, going to go around, stitch here, go around. It's going to jump from here to here and come down. Right now, it would jump all the way to the top and come down. So I want it to actually start stitching here and go up. So I'm going to do a right mouse button, Properties, and I'm going to change this to 270. So it's just cutting down on your number of your larger jump stitches. So when you go to trim everything in the back, you have a little bit less. Now I need to do a set of stitches that are going to hold the blue fabric that's going to lay up here across. So we're going to create a seam. So I'm going to change my length now to 195, and I'm going to still use that same stitch. I'm just going to make sure nothing is selected. I'm going to hit apply, and I need it to move so that it is one grid line down from where the white fabric is going to be attached. So I'm going to lay my blue fabric so that the raw edges here face down, and then stitch this stitch, and then what will happen is I will open up that blue so that it comes up to the top. Let's make sure nothing is selected, and we want to hold everything in place so that when we get ready to do everything, it doesn't try and flop and get in our way. So now with the blue fabric laying up, I'm going to create this border line that's going to go around here, and it's just going to be another basting stitch. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to choose border. I'm going to change this so that it's 2 millimeters. I'm going to go and make sure I'm going to do select stitch type, and I'm going to do running stitch. It again doesn't have to be anything really tight. It can just be a 6 millimeter basting stitch. I'm going to do OK. So now with nothing selected, it's going to create a basting stitch 2 millimeters in from the inside of the frame. So I'm going to do apply. So again, it's there. And I've been forgetting to change my color. So I've got this one changed, this one changed. I need to change this one to another color. I'm just going to do the third one in. I'm going to grab this one. I'm going to change its color. And I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to grab the fourth color, do OK. I need to do this one, change this, and I'm going to skip this dark one. I'm going to go over to the brown. Sorry, I keep forgetting to do those, and they're just something that I forget about. So I'm going to grab another color. All right. So now I have those all separate colors, so it's going to stop. Now, when you stitch this out, you can actually use all the same color. You don't have to change it. So now that we've got the base of our flag done, now what I want to do is I want to add the stars. So I'm going to go over to SuperDesign, and I'm going to just type in star and enter, and I'm going to find the applique stars. I'm going to pick on this third one over, just because it's already a motif line and I don't have to go through some extra steps. So I'm going to select it. I'm going to hit apply. This is going to just depend on how big you want your star. Now I can hold my Control and Shift key and drag it, and so it's going to do it all proportionally all together. Do it all at one time. I could actually stretch this out a little bit. So it kind of covers that that edge that's right there where the blue is at, so you don't end up with a little tiny white spot. It's up to you. You do however you want. I could actually make it just a little bit longer. But by using your Control and Shift key, you actually can proportionally change the size of your star. Now I don't want to use this particular stitch, and I'm going to get in here so you can actually see it. So right now the motif stitch that it's going to use is this one. Personal preference, you can do whatever you want. I'm going to go in, I'm going to do a right mouse. I'm going to go to motif line. And this time I'm going to go and I'm going to choose, again, Husqvarna Viking. I'm going to choose that same stitch I chose before, those kind of a zigzaggy stitch. I'm going to change my size a little bit, and I'm just going to change the height of it, and I'm going to change that to a 2. So it automatically is going to change the width just a little bit. I'm going to choose fit to line, kern, and you can play with this one. I like to mirror it. So if I didn't mirror it, and I'm leaving it as running stitch and do OK. You see how it's on the outside edge? So by going right mouse, I'm going to go to properties and right mouse. I'm going to do motif line. I'm going to do the mirror, and now those stitches kind of lay towards the center. It's hard to see, so I'm going to just change the color so you can actually see it. Not that I'm going to use this particular color, but let's make it dark black. So see the difference it makes? So I'm going to change it back, and it's going to do all 3 steps of the applique. Just do an undo. You could change your fabric here too, but I'm not going to do that. Now I'm going to zoom out so you can see the whole thing again. So now what I need to do is, now that this is done, I need to stitch in my hanger so it doesn't move on me. Now this is personal preference. You could actually just tape it down, but this is the part that's going to hang on your rod. If you don't want to do it, if you just want to make this large enough and make it a pillow, you don't need this step. So I'm going to actually create this in here, and I'm going to create it so some stitches here to actually hold my hanger in place. When you watch the little step-by-step video that shows you how to stitch this out, that comes at the end here, you can actually see how that works. So I'm just going to go, I've got step number 7 selected. I'm going to go to the frame tab. I'm going to choose Motif Underline, select Motif, and I'm going to leave that just like it is, and that's going to work fine. I don't need it quite as long as what this is. I can actually change it, because right now it's going to do this whole thing, and I only need it to be a little bit less than that. So I'm just going to change it to like 180. Now, all it's doing is it's going to hold that one piece of fabric in place for you, and I'm going to make sure nothing is selected, because otherwise it's going to put that underline right underneath there, that star. So I'm going to hit apply. Because it's got that little zigzag, I can actually move this up into place. Now, I want it so that it is really close to the edge, because I'm going to have a seam line that's actually going to go here. And so you want it kind of centered left and right. It's not perfect, but when you lay your hanging tab here, you want it so that it's centered back and forth, and then it's going to stitch this down. Now what I need to do is I actually need to create my backing. So it's going to attach the backing all at one time. So to do that, all I need to do is I'm going to make sure nothing is selected. I'm going to go to frame again. So I need my stitches now to be inside everything. So I'm going to make this margin a 10. Now that's going to make it so that it's along here, and then it's going to come along here, and you may end up seeing some of these basting stitches, but remember the basting stitches, you can take them out. So I'm going to set that for 10, and that'll ensure that I grab everything inside. I'm going to go to stitch type. I'm going to do running stitch, and I don't want it to be 6 anymore. I want this to be 2.5, and do OK. I'm going to do apply. And again, I'm going to change the color. Now, I didn't change color on that one, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to change that color. I'm just going to go to the second row. And then my last stitch, I'm going to change its color. And I'm going to change it to a red. Doesn't really matter. Like I said, I use the same color on everything. The only time I really considered changing a thread color was when I was doing the actual applique stitches for the star. But I ended up using a very neutral color, and I used a neutral star on my actual sample. So it's personal. You can do it however you want to. Now, if we watch it stitch out, which is always a good thing, that's going to be my first stitch. It's going to tell me where I need to lay my fabric. And you can't see this next one, but it's stitching down again. Then I'm going to lay fabric, and it's going to do this. I'm going to attach it, attach my other red, attach the blue, baste it in place, do my star, do the stitches along here, and then hold everything in place. All right, so I hope you learned something. Put in the comments something that you might have learned in this video. I'd really appreciate it. Let's hear what you have done with this, and if you have questions, please put them in the comments and I'll answer them. If you learned something, let us know.